Hundreds of people across Brazil protest against President Bolsonaro. 10 regions in Peru go into a lockdown for 2 weeks. And hundreds of people in Romania protest against the government over hospital fires. Hello and welcome to TeleSUR. I'm Jose Daniel Lopez in Quito, Ecuador, and this is from the south. Hundreds of people have protested across dozens of cities in Brazil against President Jair Bolsonaro's management of the COVID-19 pandemic. The largest protest was in the capital Brasilia, where more than 200 rallied on the iconic Exxon Monumental Avenue, waving banners and flags calling for the impeachment of Bolsonaro. Similar protests also took place in Rio de Janeiro and Sao Paulo. Brazil has the world's second highest number of COVID-19 deaths, more than 223,000. Its vaccination program has gotten off to a late and rocky start. Bolsonaro, who for a long time downplayed the severity of the pandemic, has been accused of failing to come up with an effective plan to deal with the health crisis.
I am here at the Stop Bolsonaro protests to say enough of this genocidal government, of this government that attacks human rights, that attacks the Brazilian people, public health. And here we are, as a result of this misgovernment, with more than 220,000 deaths due to COVID. Enough of Bolsonaro, impeachment now.
10 regions in Peru, including the capital Lima, have gone into a lockdown as the country suffers a resurgence in COVID-19 cases. Authorities ordered that for 2 weeks, citizens will be only allowed to leave home for 1 hour between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m., and that gyms, churches, hair salons, museums, and libraries will remain closed. In 2020, Peru established a 106-day lockdown that devastated the economy and left 7 million unemployed. But a second wave of coronavirus infections began in early January and has caused hospitals to collapse, and intensive care beds have thousands on a waiting list. Peru has not received vaccines either.
We have put in place protective measures limiting travel outside the home from today until February 14th. Lockdown is focused and covers 10 of the 26 regions of our country. We must all make an extra effort to stem the rising wave of contagion and deaths.
Flames continue to engulf the wood area of Rio Negro province in Argentina after a week of wildfires that have already razed more than 10,000 hectares. Firefighters from the regional area say Saturday they were able to contain the head of the fire, but the flames are still spreading out of control in other areas. The woodland area affected the tourist town of El Bolsón, close to the Patagonia and the border with Chile. The Argentine National Meteorological Service indicated that the country experienced an extensive drought last year that affected more than half of the territory.
Today we could work and cut the head of the fire, but it's still burning. It went up the hillside. This one has lasted a week so far, but we had started fighting fire since January 9th. So personnel has had no rest, but we are working with willingness, doing our best.
At least 10 people in Cuba have been killed when a bus crashed on a highway. The bus was transporting teachers on a highway between the capital Havana and neighboring province of Mayabeque when the driver lost control of the vehicle and flipped over. At least 24 people were also injured and are now treated in nearby hospitals. Authorities have launched an investigation into the cause of the accident.
25 patients have been to the hospitals, Aleida Fernandez and Leopoldito Martinez. Of these patients, 2 are children, who were sent to the Juan Manuel Marquez Pediatric Hospital in Havana. They are already in the hospital, in a stable condition. The patients are being cared for, they are being hospitalized, and everything that is necessary in order to save the life of each one of them is, of course, available in each of our hospital networks.
Alshabab fighters have attacked a hotel in the Somali capital Mogadishu. According to security sources, members of the extremist group stormed the hotel after 2 suicide bombers blew themselves up at the entrance, tearing down the security barrier. A gunfight then erupted between the militants and security forces who responded to the attack. Witnesses say several hotel guards and guests had been killed, while dozens had been injured. The hotel is a popular gathering place for diplomats and local politicians. Alshabab, which is allied to Al-Qaeda, has been fighting Somalia's unrecognized government since 2011, when the group was pushed out of Mogadishu by the African Union and the UN's forces. Niger's Constitutional Court has confirmed that a second round of the presidential elections will be held on February 21st. The court noted that no candidate obtained an absolute majority of the votes in the first round, which was held on December 27th. It has also thrown out an application by the opposition candidates to invalidate the results over alleged electoral negligence. The runoff will set ruling party candidate Mohamed Bansou, who polled 39.1% of the votes, against former President Mohamed Ousmane, who had 16.9%. Incumbent President Mamadou Issouf is stepping down after 2 5-year terms, which is expected to lead to Niger's first transfer of power between two democratically elected presidents.
The court receives the request of the President of the Independent National Electoral Commission in the form, validates and proclaims the final results of the first round of the presidential elections of December 27, 2020. Notes that no candidate has obtained an absolute majority of votes in the first round. Notes that the candidates who came first in the first round are Mohamed Bazoum with 1,879,629 votes, or 39.30%. Mahamane Ousmane with 812,412 votes, or 16.98%.
Nigeria's newly appointed chief of defense forces has promised to defeat Boko Haram and restore peace in the northeastern Borno state.
Of the citizens of Borno and the entire northeast to give us a chance, give the troops a chance to do what is utmost necessary in order for them to have a fresh breath of life, for them to be able to engage in socio-economic activities. Have a detailed brief from the tier commander as well as the various component commanders, and to see the inches that we will make in order to ensure that this carnage that Boko Haram have inflicted on the people will come to an end.
The fugitive leader of Ethiopia's embattled Tigray region has reportedly made his first public comments in 3 months, urging the international community to investigate alleged genocide and other abuses by forces, including those from neighboring Eritrea. It was not immediately possible to verify the audio comments by Debretsion Gebremichael, posted late Saturday by a media outlet. According to the audio file, the fugitive leader urged Tigray residents to continue the struggle. He has been on the run since fighting broke out in early November between government troops and Tigray People's Liberation Front. The European Union has been widely criticized for its decision to place export controls on COVID-19 vaccines produced within the bloc. The World Health Organization slammed the decision. It said it will potentially jeopardize the fight against the virus. The EU introduced the measures on Friday, aimed at road with the vaccine manufacturers over delivery shortfalls. The set of controls are poised to affect about 100 countries worldwide, including the United Kingdom, United States, Canada, and Australia. The first batch of COVID-19 vaccines that South Africa ordered from India's Serum Institute are set to arrive in the country on the 1st of February. South Africa has been the worst hit by the pandemic on the African continent, with more than 1.4 million COVID-19 cases reported so far. The country saw a big surge in infections early this month, driven by a new, more contagious variant of the virus. There's hope, however, as 1 million doses of the vaccine are coming from Mumbai. Another batch of 500,000 doses is expected in the later half of February. We'll take a short break now. Join us again in a minute. Welcome back. Algeria has started rolling out COVID-19 vaccines in the city of Blida, where the country's first case was reported in early 2020. Vaccination priority will be given to medical staff dealing with COVID-19 patients, the elderly, and those with chronic or immunity diseases. The North African country received its first batch of vaccines on Friday at the Wildfires military airport west of the capital, Algiers. Locally, COVID-19 cases rose to more than 1,000 on Wednesday, with a death toll of 2,877.
If you remember last March, we started with masks, medicine sets, PCR tests, etc. Today, thank God, we don't forget the victims, especially among the medical profession and all citizens, and we hope to continue our work.
This is the only way to protect oneself for the moment. There is no other way than the vaccine. Let's hope it will be effective, because there are many people who are reluctant. They wait until the first ones are vaccinated to see the side effects. There have to be first people. I am one of the first volunteers.
Libya's warring factions who are participating in United Nations peace talks have approved a list of candidates seeking to lead a transitional government. The list was unveiled by the UN support mission in the country. Representatives will vote next week for 3 presidential councillors and for a prime minister from the approved candidates. Then the interim government will start preparing for national elections scheduled for the end of 2021.
The teams from the House of Representatives and the state met for 2 days on January 22 to 23, 2021 in Bosnia, on the outskirts of the capital Rabat. During this meeting, it was reviewed what had been previously approved in Article 15 of the Libyan Political Agreement, signed in Skhirat on December 17, 2015. After constructive dialogue, it was agreed to form and appoint sub-working groups to take procedural measures concerning the appointments of the following sovereign posts: the head of the Administrative Control Authority and his deputy, the head of the Accounting Office and his deputy, the head of the Anti-Corruption Commission and his deputy, and the head and members of the Libyan High Electoral Commission.
Hundreds of Tunisians have marched in the capital Tunis to protest against police abuses they say are endangering freedom rights won in the 2011 revolution that swept away authoritarian rule. Hundreds of riot police confronted the demonstrators, leading to scuffles. Some protesters threw bottles, while police struck some demonstrators with batons. There have been daily protests since mid-January, marking the anniversary of the revolution that sparked uprisings across the region in 2011, known as the Arab Spring. Renowned Chinese health specialist Xiong Nanshan has said he's hopeful the United States can deepen cooperation with his country in the fight against COVID-19 pandemic, as the Biden administration now looks to take control over its domestic crisis. Xiong, who received China's highest state honor, the Medal of the Republic, in recognition of his outstanding contribution to the fight against COVID-19, said he's more optimistic about the U.S. strategy in the battle against the virus under the new administration. Xiong also stated that he's looking forward to an opportunity to exchange views with the top U.S. infectious disease expert Anthony Fauci at the special event organized by the University of Edinburgh on March 2nd.
If the epidemic situation in the United States improves, it will be good for the country and the world and the U.S.-China relationships. I'm looking forward to exchange between scholars from both countries. I think the insight of Anton Fauci are very similar to mine, so I'm looking forward to an opportunity to exchange views with him.
Vietnam's ruling Communist Party chief Nguyen Phan Truong has been re-elected for a third 5-year term as the Asian country battles its biggest coronavirus outbreak since the pandemic began. Truong's re-election as a party General Secretary, came at a 5-yearly party congress in Hanoi, where over 1,000 party delegates from across Vietnam are concluding 8 days of meetings to pick a new leadership team. But Trump's win was overshadowed by a new COVID-19 outbreak that has infected at least 221 people and spread at least 8 cities and provinces of the country, including the capital, Hanoi. The Ministry of Health reported 14 new COVID-19 infections early on Sunday, bringing the total number of cases in the country to 1,781 with 35 deaths. We'll take a short break now. Join us again after this. Welcome back. Hungarian hospitality workers have taken to the streets of the capital Budapest to protest against coronavirus lockdown restrictions. Protesters demanded that the government lifts restrictions and allows restaurants to open, as the country has been in lockdown since November 11th. Pandemic restrictions were extended on Thursday until March 1st, and many business owners complained that they have received little or none of the government's promised financial assistance. The government also set penalties for breaking pandemic restrictions. Police may now require offending businesses to close their doors for 6 months to a year and can issue fines of between $4,000 and $17,000 US.
We've been closed for 4 months, and we don't really know what to do with the subsidies the government is giving. The point for us is that our right to work is taken.
I think we need to protest as long as the government doesn't feel the pressure and doesn't back off, as it had happened in Poland and in Italy.
Hundreds of people have protested outside Romania's health ministry a day after a fatal fire at one of the country's main hospitals for COVID-19 patients. Organized by right-wing political party Alliance for the Unity of Romanians, the protests called for the resignation of the president and the health minister and emergency chief over recent hospital fires. The latest, which broke out Friday in the Bucharest hospital, killed at least 5 people and forced the evacuation of more than 100 people. It was the third hospital fire in Romania in as many months.
After 31 years in which we paid taxes and got nothing in return, not a single new hospital was built in Romania in 31 years, although we paid. The money was stolen from the Romanian medical system. We want the resignation of those responsible, the health minister and the head of the Department of Emergency Situations. If the health minister does not want to resign now, he's been in office for just 1 month. We want a deadline for him to resign if things don't change radically.
The investigation is ongoing. We don't know exactly at this moment what happened there. We are waiting for the results for a number of reasons. One is to find out who is responsible. But most importantly, we need to learn the lessons that we need to learn. If we know the initial cause of this, we will know what measures need to be prioritized in order to prevent such things from happening again in the future.
Portugal has closed its borders with Spain on January 31st to stop the spread of COVID-19. Citizens will also not be able to travel abroad except in special cases for the next 2 weeks.
This will last until February 14th at 11:59 p.m. Before the closure, there was some movement in the border area, but at the moment it is quieter, and there is not too much traffic along the border. I assume that people are paying attention to the border controls and respecting the restrictions imposed in the country.
Tougher restrictions have been reimposed in the Greek capital Athens after the city recorded a spike in COVID-19 cases. Most retail shops in Athens have been ordered to close, and high schools, which were supposed to open on Monday, have been limited to the first 3 grades, while older students will continue learning through online classes. The country has so far recorded 155,000 confirmed COVID-19 cases and 5,764 deaths. In Belgium, police arrested several protesters at a demonstration against measures aimed at fighting the spread of COVID-19 on Sunday. According to local media, around 200 people were arrested in Brussels for trying to join a protest against restrictive measures implemented in the country in order to fight the virus, such as the closing of bars and restaurants. A nighttime curfew and travel restrictions are in place until at least March, limiting movements ahead of next month's school vacations. Belgium has one of Europe's worst outbreaks. The nation has seen over 20,800 confirmed deaths related to coronavirus. In the United States, a massive fire has engulfed a New Jersey recycling plant. The blaze broke out around Friday midnight at the Atlantic Coast Fiber plant in Passaic. Officials have warned that the plant could burn for days. The mayor of Passaic said that there were at least 2 explosions, one involving a truck with gas tanks on it. Now authorities fear the flames could spread into a nearby chemical factory.
The other concern are pocket fires because of embers and the fire that's actually traveling around the area, so we remind you to please keep your windows closed, but if you see instances of fire in the area, call immediately 911 and let us know. We had difficulty with water pressure, obviously with temperatures, with exhaustion for our firefighters. You can see right behind me how this is continuing to spread right here.
And we come to the end of this news brief. You can find this and many other stories in our website at telesurenglish.net. And join us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. For TeleSUR English, I'm Jose Daniel Lopez. Thank you for watching.